have enough manpower. We don't have enough security personnel to protect us in this country. But then the ones that we have, what are they doing? Are they really working? That is the question we should be asking. Because we keep saying they should recruit more security officers, they should recruit more police, more soldiers. What about those that are there? What exactly are they doing? Are they working? So we really need to, they really need to do better. They need to do better. Honestly, the armed forces, the police, they need to do better for Nigerians and ensure that we are safe in our own country. So that is the situation on in Kwara State. Kwara State. So a lot of persons have already been buried, and it's really a sad event that occurred on Tuesday. It's really sad. All right, so still on the issue of insecurity, we are still looking at Vanguard newspaper, and we see that, okay, 1949 massacre. Court orders UK to pay £420 million to 21 Nigerian families. This is on the page 11 of the Vanguard newspaper. Court orders UK to pay £420 million to 21 Nigerian families. And this was what happened. It happened in the Enugu State High Court. It has ordered British government to pay £420 million in compensation to the families of 21 Nigerian coal miners brutally killed by colonial forces in 1949. The presiding judge declared yesterday that the killings were unlawful and amounted to a violation of the right to life. So that we don't know if the UK have already received this information or not. But since the court in Nigeria has given the order, let's see how it goes. We're going to be watching to know how it's, because they directed the UK to tender a formal apology. So we are going to look at how it's going to end, whether it's really something that it's going to work. Is it really going to work? Like, are they going to get the information from the courts in Enugu State? All right, so that is the issue. Still on the Vanguard, we have suspected bomb recovery. No policeman has visited our premises. Suspected bomb recovery. No policeman has visited our premises. And this is what happened in Abia State. And we are linking it because when we link it to the first story we talked about, the Kwara massacre, that said that soldiers came 10 hours after the killing, and now after many days, the suspected bomb, they are trying to say that no policeman has come to the location to even confirm if there was any bombing or not. So it's really sad that we keep reporting, a lot of persons keep reporting what is going on in their community, and then the security agencies don't try to find out, or when they do go, they go very late to figure out what happened or ways to tackle the issue that is going on in that locality. So they really need to step up their game. The police officers, the soldiers, they need to step up. They need to do better than they are currently doing for Nigerians, because we have the right to be protected by those governing us. Yes, there's right to protection. So they should be able to protect the citizens and the residents in any location, wherever we find ourselves in the country. All right. So that is it on the Vanguard newspaper. But I think there is one more that we can take. All right. INEC registers NDC, DLA worries over crisis in parties. INEC registers NDC, DLA worries over crisis in parties. So INEC has registered 2 new political parties in Nigeria, so adding to the ones that we already have. And this is already ahead of the 2027 general election. So they are also worried about the crisis going on in So many parties, the fight, the faction. Look at PDP, what is going on in PDP, the Wike faction, even with the expulsion. Court has already given them victory because they've been recognized. They've been recognized. So we have the Wike faction, we have the Turaki faction in PDP, and they are all planning to bring out their own candidate for the 2027 election. We don't know how that is going to work, but we've been saying, fix your party. Because how do you want to stand against the ruling party when it looks like you are confused? People from outside are looking at these parties and they are wondering, what is going on? How do they plan to win 2027 election with all these crises, with all these fights? Makinde, Oyo State Governor, fighting Wike. Wike saying he's interested. The one that even got me, saying that he's interested in Oyo State PDP. Meanwhile, look at what is going on in Rivers State PDP. It's still very weak. You haven't fixed it. And then you really want to look into another person's state, another person's, like, how do you expect to handle it? While a lot of persons are also saying Wike should focus on the ministerial work in the FCT, should focus on doing things better in Abuja, rather than putting eyes in different states. So there are lots of things that are really, most times, most of the ministers we have in the country, sometimes they don't really understand their job role. They are not really doing exactly what they are meant to do. So I kind of deviated. It's because of the crisis in all the parties going on. So I had to focus on PDP because PDP was supposed to be one of the strong opposition parties. But from what we are seeing, it doesn't look like a strong opposition party. Now we are looking at ADC, we are looking at Labour Party, NMPP. We are looking at all these parties, and then these new two parties. We don't know who is heading it yet. But with time, we are going to find out who are heading the parties. All right, so that is the issue of the political parties. We really need strong opposition for 2027 so that the citizens, we can have choices. We can go to the polling unit and know that, okay, I'm going for this, I'm going for that, and not being forced to vote for a particular party because we don't understand what the other parties are doing. So they really need to fix themselves. It's not just coming out on social media to fight what the government is doing. They can do better. They can really show Nigerians that, yes, we are strong opposition by their actions, by what they are doing already. I mean, as a party, you don't have to wait to be in any leadership or in any position before you start doing something positive for Nigerians. But that's by the way. All right, let's see if there are more we can take on the Vanguard before we move to another paper. Okay, so this says 2 PDP factions insist on fielding candidates in 2027 polls. All right, I mentioned it earlier. You can look into it if you want to get exactly what it's saying. You can look at it at page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. 2 PDP factions insist on fielding candidates in 2027 polls. All right. U.S. President acknowledges Nigeria's First Lady as respected woman. It's also on the page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. All right. So let's take a look at the Daily Sun, the Sun newspaper, before we open up the phone line for you to make your contribution. All right. On the Daily Sun, we see controversy over exclusion of Igbo in school history book. Controversy over exclusion of Igbo in school history book. Ohanes Ndigbo and others fume. And you can get the story on the page 20. On the page 20 of the Sun newspaper. All right, let's see what this is talking about. There was a national outrage a few days ago when a social media user raised the alarm in a video that his child notified him of the history textbook said to be newly approved for use in the school. But it was later discovered that Igbo culture and history was completely missing, both in table of contents and the entire pages of the book. So this development has sparked widespread reactions, with Nigerians questioning the rationale behind such developments. So they are trying to understand why Igbo culture, Igbo history is not part of the history textbook. Because when you're talking about this, you should be able to, all the cultures should be there. People should know how this region originated. So it's not okay for in a history textbook to not have the Igbo history in it, in the table of contents, in all the entire pages of the book. So it has a lot of persons are reacting to this. A lot of persons are reacting to it, and this was approved by the Federal Ministry of Education for the junior secondary school. I don't know if you've been able to observe, maybe your children, if you've gone through their own history textbook to find out if what the claims that they are saying is really true or not. But that is why we are going to open the phone line to, so you can let us know what you think about this. Because do you really think is something, an error that was just made, or there's something that they're going to look into and figure out how to fix the Igbo history in the textbooks? So 0706 048 5853. You can call us and make contribution on any of the headlines that you feel you want to contribute on. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
You are welcome. Your name and your location.
Okay, this is Samuel calling you from Abuja.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, let me start with this last headline about Igbo culture. I think that is a welcome development
Oh.
because he said that the Minister of Education have approved it.
Mm.
Yes, the welcome development for Igbos. So let Igbo wake up because Igbo have turned themselves a slave in this country when they are supposed to be the leader in this country because they have suffered so much and they offer so much in this country. So, but because of their selfish interest and how to, because of money, they have sold their dignity. So, it's a welcome development so that they will know where they stand in this country because once we keep talking and they will deem their own. So, once your brother come out to contest for anything, you come out to destroy everything, saying that because it's not you, or look at our brother, nobody is talking about it, discussing about him anymore. So it's a welcome development for me, so that it will trigger you, maybe they can wake up and stand on their feet to take their right in this country. If not, let them keep doing things in their own way. Then for the opposition parties, he said they have registered about 21 parties.
Mm.
So in this one, even if there are made and register 50 parties, but we know that there is only one party in this country currently, which is APC. Look at PDP, the way they are going. Look at the newly registered party who came out said that they will be a strong opposition to the APC.
Mm.
That's been an ADC.
ATC.
So look at the way they are still fighting for who will be the president, who will contest as a president, and who will contest as a vice.
Mm.
So you see that all these people are not serious. So APC are just doing their things on their own ways. And Jonathan, our former president, is the one that destroyed PDP. That is my own opinion because I know some people will call and counter what I say. That's my own opinion on what I realized. It's Jonathan that destroyed the PDP. So after that, since Jonathan became president and come down, PDP have never remained the same again. So, but I think this ADC, before P2B, when they thought they would have discussed who will be the president or not before he went there. But after he approved that they have done ADC, him and Atiku started discussing who will be the president and who will not. So we have already known, and the APC are just strategizing and they have to do everything, while others are just fighting themselves. So we know that there's only one political party in this country. For the killings and the insecurity, there's nothing you will tell me. Government knows what is happening in this country. Right about what they will come out and say they will fight and they know the root of the people that is killing people in this country. The security will come out after everything have been done, and the people who came to kill people, they will just go and even go and drop their guns, went to what parlor and sit there drinking before the security people will come to the place things happen. So I don't know everything. Government knows what to do. So they are just like the people behind it is too powerful to even talk to. So that's why things are like this now. People who are sponsoring this are the main people ruling this country. So they do. So if they don't want to fight this, let everybody be praying for God. Military or security protecting us because they are the one behind everything happening. Any security that lasted for years in country, if it's not a fight and stopped, that means the government is behind it. So that is it. Government after God, that is the government. So anything government cannot do does not exist. So let's just say we are in hand of God in this country. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, 0706-048-5853. 0706-048-5853. All right, so I would also like you to know that the Ministry of Education, when it comes to the history textbook, that they removed, or Igbo was not part of it. The Federal Ministry of Education has debunked the development and also said that it was not reviewed by the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, and it was not approved by the Ministry for use in secondary school. So the Ministry of Education has debunked the information that has been going around the social media. All right, so join up the conversation on 0706 048 5853. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. You're welcome. Your name and your location. All right, please go ahead.
I always used to say this, that the government of every nation is their God, and there's no God anywhere that's coming to help us. And the earlier we realize this, the better for us. According to the last caller, I support him in what he said in the area of the Igbo history, not included in the textbook that's been bring. Before Uncle, is Igbo part of Nigeria? When people want to make you lose, when people want to make you forget your origin or where you are coming from, your identity, they will first of all destroy your person's history. Now, so removing this from the textbook is actually making us to know that we are not part of Nigeria, and also trying to make us forget who we are. Mana Igbo people they are very different from other people. We know who we are, we know what we are. All the blames you post to our representative there in government, they will see all those minor things, and they will not say anything or talk anything about it. There's some places you enter now, you see Hausa language. Some apps that you enter now, you see Hausa language. You see Yoruba language, you not see Yoruba language. I don't know if you are getting me. So Igbo people are taking those things for granted. The way how, but those things matters a lot. This thing also happened when they brought Christianity to us. Our forefathers were taking that say, how the women should go to church, these women things. And at the end of the day, it affected everybody. And the same thing happened in Nigeria today.
we are seeing going on, just like the killing in the north. We here in the southeast say it doesn't concern us, it's far, it's not, nothing is going to happen. One day we will wake up from sleep and find out these people are already here. Because the man on your one, you see, so our people that is representing us in the government are the people that should talk about this, and they are the one that should look into it and solve this problem once and for all. If, as the Nigerian government is indirectly letting us to know that we are not part of Nigeria, then they should rise up and let's go. I don't know. You don't want somebody. I still don't want the person to go. Is it not the witchcraft or what did I call it? Let them allow us to go. Our people should stand up. Let's dig this thing out now.
All right, 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570 8347. You too can join us at the conversation and make contribution on the headlines that has been read to you. Remember that you are listening to High Voltage on Volt 104.3 FM. You can also join us live on YouTube on High Voltage News. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, and share the video for others to be part of the conversation this morning. All right, so we are going to still take more headlines this morning, and we are looking at the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper, and it says Kaduna abduction. 183 freed victims recount audio. Governor pledges rehabilitation. Kaduna abduction, 183 freed victims recount audio, while the governor pledges rehabilitation. So this is a good news, because at least we have some of the persons that were kidnapped and they've been rescued. And that was yesterday that some of these survivors recounted their weeks of fear, the weeks of hunger and abuse while they were in captivity. So this is still about insecurity going on in the country. So a total of 183 victims, mostly women and children, were received by the Kaduna State governor following their rescue from bandits after weeks in the forests. So these victims, according to reports on the Punch newspaper, said they were freed through a coordinated operation involving the Kaduna State government, the Office of the National Security Advisor, and the Department of State Services. So for these survivors, this ceremony marked not only a reunion with society, but also a painful reminder of how close they came to death. So this kidnapping of a case, you don't pray to become a victim, but then a lot of persons are still being held kidnapped. There are so many people that do not make it to the news, and they are in the den of these persons. That's why when we keep talking about the police, we keep asking, what are the soldiers doing? They should be on guard. Even imagine the one that went on the news that everyone knew about, the Kwara State, that they had to wait. It was after 10 hours. They sent the reports, they called them by around 5 p.m. when the attack started, and they only arrived by 3 a.m. Now, if you've been kidnapped, you will understand what it means to stay there for weeks, for days. It's not something that you pray for anybody around you. So we keep asking the government, the state government, the federal government, to do something about the insecurity going on in Nigeria. A lot of persons have been displaced. A lot of persons can't even farm because of the herdsmen, because of this insecurity going on in their villages. Things are not, it's leading to the poverty, the more we have more poor persons in the country because of this insecurity. You can't even do your job again. So they really need to understand that this is affecting people. Just like one of the callers said, it's someone that is alive that will even be able to come out in 2027 to vote. So we need to be sure that a lot of Nigerians are safe. But we are glad that this news that 183 victims were rescued. We are so glad that they are safe now. But we are asking that there should be more operations. Now that we have some of the US troops in Nigeria, they should be able to help for more operations to rescue more persons. They should guard the forest guards, the police, the army, they should guard them. Intelligence, whatever it is that they need to be able to rescue the kidnapped victims, everyone. So this is welcome development. This is a good one. All right, so that's still on the Punch newspaper. We see PDP crisis, Makinde camp forms as INEC recognizes Wike block. PDP crisis, Makinde camp forms as INEC recognizes Wike block. So the issue, the crisis, we've talked about it before, but here on the Punch, they are saying that Makinde, the Oyo State governor, the camp is not okay with the courts recognizing the Wike faction. As at November 2025, the Wike was expelled from PDP with some other persons, Fayose and I think Ayawo and some other persons that were expelled from PDP. But now the court is recognizing them, which means they've already, whatever expulsion is not standing. And the court is also not recognizing the national convention that held in November 2025. Now, Wike faction is about to hold their own national convention in March. I think 28 to 31st or 28 to 30. They're about to hold their own. So that is why we keep saying there's really, it's looking like there's no opposition party for this 2027 election. So the anger of Makinde is that the fact that Wike said he was holding the PDP down for APC during the time of 2023 election. So is it the same thing that is going to happen for 2027? Is Wike also going to hold PDP down for APC, for the president to rise in 2027? So with all the fights going on, we have the Makinde against Wike. Recently, there's been a lot of clash. Makinde calling Wike a vagabond and some other persons in the party. So we keep saying they need to fix their party, whatever crisis it is that they have. But we don't know whether it's going to be possible because this crisis has been on for a long period of time. It has been so on for a long period of time. All right, moving on, still on the Punch newspaper, we see respected woman. Trump hails Remi Tinubu at U.S. prayer breakfast. Respected woman. Donald Trump hails Remi Tinubu at U.S. prayer breakfast. So the U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday acknowledged the presence of Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Remi Tinubu, as he spoke at the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C., highlighting her faith, leadership, and role in religious life. So this event was attended by members of the U.S. Congress, religious leaders, and international guests. Featured Trump recognizing Tinubu in the audience as he addressed attendees on matters of faith and global religious freedom. So we already know that Nigeria is in a very big crisis facing this religious freedom. Look at what happened in Kwara State. They were killed because they refused to accept the Sharia law. That was the reason they were killed. So it feels like there is no freedom of religion in the country, whereby a particular religion is trying to overpower the other religion. That is why a lot of persons are saying that there's Christian genocide, while a lot of persons are against it, saying that there is no Christian genocide. But with what we see, with one religion trying to force their religion on another group of person, it is why the United States president said that this country is a country of particular concern because of the things that we see, because of the things that is going on. A lot of persons are killed on a daily basis, and they are mostly Christians. They are mostly Christians. You go to religious organizations, you look at the attacks, the bombing, the killing. It is mostly Christians that are being attacked. So this issue of religious freedom, they also need to look at it. They need to look at it. Are we free to practice any religion we want in the country? So next on the Punch newspaper, we see Electoral Act opposition. Electoral Act. Opposition pushes back as e-transmission faces firestorm. Opposition pushes back as e-transmission faces firestorm. Yesterday we talked about the transmission of the electoral results, the election results that was approved by the Senate, because they were rejecting it. Although the Senate is saying that they did not reject anything. That is what the Senate is trying to, most of the things in the country we keep hearing, they said this, and the next thing they reject. So the Senate is rejecting that they ever said they are not okay with the electoral transmission of results. So that is there's a lot of the opposition and are against it. They are really against it. We look at the Senate Minority Caucus. They clarified on Thursday that the Senate did not reject the electoral transmission of election results before the leadership passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. And this is contrary to what we've been hearing. This is contrary to what we said. So this clarification came barely 24 hours after the upper chamber came under fire on Wednesday. So now, who are we really to believe? Because they had a hearing, but now they are saying they did not reject anything. Meanwhile, most of the newspaper headlines carried it. So they are rejecting the claim that yes, they did not. So Akpabio has maintained that lawmakers retained electronic transmission as provided under the 2022 Electoral Act. A distinction, he said, was necessary to avoid legal and operational ambiguities. So speaking to journalists, the former Senate Minority Leader Abaribe said the caucus was compelled to address what it described as a widespread misunderstanding of proceedings at Wednesday's plenary. So they have come out to reject the claim that they ever had anything to do with rejecting the electoral transmission. All right, so let's take a look at more newspaper headlines before we call it a day, because our time is almost up. All right, on the Nation newspaper, we see all 183 rescued Kuminwali worshippers back from captivity. Okay, federal government ends use of tax credit scheme for road construction. Federal government ends use of tax credit scheme for road construction. That is on the page 3 of the Nation newspaper. INEC obeys court order on PDP leadership. Wicked groups get nod. INEC obeys court order on PDP leadership. Wicked group gets nod on the page 4 of the Nation newspaper. All right, again on the Nation, we see Senate defense action on Electoral Act amendment. Senate defense action on Electoral Act amendment. You see that on the page 2 of the Nation newspaper. You see that on the page 2 of the Nation newspaper. And then on this day newspaper, we see opposition wants democracy on the brink over Senate's refusal to clearly mandate real-time upload of results. Opposition wants democracy on the brink over Senate's refusal to clearly mandate real-time upload of results, on the page 34 of this day newspaper. All right. Okay, lastly, let's see the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust says, we are still burying the dead inside Kwara's massacre. We are still burying the dead inside Kwara's massacre. And that you see that on the page 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And then we see we were beaten, leading birth for 2 weeks, Kaduna abductees. Then Defense HQ admits U.S. troops in Nigeria. Defense HQ admits U.S. troops in Nigeria. All right, so we see how Nigerian startups raised $520 million. That is on the page 23 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And lastly, Remi Tinubu meets Trump. Remi Tinubu meets Trump. Page 29 of the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, you can take a look inside all the headlines that you are interested in. You can look at them more on the pages of the newspaper. So you've been listening to High Voltage on Volt 104.3 FM. And this morning I want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of the program. Thank you for calling. You join us again on Monday. This is your weekday news analysis show, Mondays to Friday. So the next time we'll meet again is on Monday by 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. for more of the news, for more of the analysis, and most importantly, for more of your voices. Okay, so remember that if you missed any part of the program, you can listen on our YouTube channel on High Voltage News. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, share the video for others to be part of the conversation. My name is Odeline. Have a wonderful weekend.